very good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. It is Thursday, August 6th, 2026. We will take your calls, one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy. Let's see who's old enough to remember that. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. To kick things off, our dear friend meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
So do we know the show that one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy comes from, Mike Favetta?
I had a good 10 seconds to think about it since you mentioned it. And the best I could come up with is it Sesame Street?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope. Good guess.
okay.
Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In. And the show was created by a man named Martin Stone, who was from Westchester County, who gave me my first job in broadcasting. That's the only reason I remember it. When I was a kid, it was so cute. And it was, who's the actress? Oh God, now I'm forgetting her name. But she played, I'll get it in a second. She played a telephone operator from years gone by when they used to have
Mhm.
to manually plug in the calls, and she would go, let's call for you, one ringy dingy, two ringy dingy, and that's where it comes from. So there you go. Information people don't need to know.
You know what? It's nostalgic. It's nostalgic because we're wondering where the heck the sunshine went after so much cloud cover and rain and more flooding, Ken. Now we have the heat that rolls back in today across New Jersey. So if you're nostalgic for summer, we get another round of hot weather today and tomorrow. Heat advisory up through Saturday evening for all of the northern half of the state, even parts of central and southern New Jersey. But this heat extends all the way up to New Hampshire. That's how impressive it'll be. Not so much for just the temperatures, it also includes that humidity, which is sky high as well. You can see the dew on the cars after a little bit of rain came through last night. We have that little bit of drizzle with some showers. So it's this plume of moisture from the tropics that's moving up the east coast that will deliver another round of clear sky to start the day, but gradually transition back to some clouds and some very humid weather. So it's that soggy feel, that heavy feel to the air, thanks to weather that basically matches that of the tropics and the southeast. Look at where the winds are coming from, steering all of that humid weather into the northeast today and into tomorrow. It doesn't quit, so we'll keep that very humid feel around right through Saturday afternoon as the sun returns. The futurecast shows a decent amount of sun to start the day, but again, it's going to be hot going into the afternoon. That heat advisory remains through this evening. Another round of sunny weather, clear sky, very hot weather tomorrow. And then for Saturday morning, late Friday night, early Saturday morning, we have a round of storms. Then Saturday afternoon likely has another round of pop-up storms that come through, very isolated, and then that all wipes through by Sunday morning with clearing, cooler weather that'll lead to a very pleasant finish to the week. Keeping an eye on the tropics, because as we enter the peak of hurricane season, there is still zero activity in the tropics. This Saharan dust is keeping a lid on any further development, so good news for us, because now that we have the rain and we are out of our drought for most of the state, we'll keep it sunny going into this weekend. Just got to stay hydrated and cool today, as temperatures will feel like the upper 90s to 100 through most of the afternoon today and tomorrow.
Well, breaking news, I have the above ground white trash pool built and ready to go. And is it improper to say white trash? As long as you
I go
acknowledge that you are
WT.
part of the group, you
Hmm.
know, that's it. I acknowledge that I am. Yeah, Pam says we're all white trash. It doesn't matter what your actual color, we're all white trash. That's it. All right, I'll take that. I'm fine with that. I embrace it. You either embrace it or you go crawl under a rock. Thank you. So, oh, by the way, you know what? I think as a new daddy, well, new daddy second time. Pam, do we
Okay.
have the video of Trump toddler we just sent in?
Trump toddler.
I gave him time codes. Oh well. All right. Tell Gerald he has to. All right. So this you'll enjoy. So Grandpa
Okay.
Trump yesterday was in Vegas, and he had a young couple come up on stage with their kids in tow. And when he invited
Mm.
the mom to speak, the little one, watch what happens. Little one goes running. Grandpa kicks in and has that eye, that third eye. So as a dad of two little ones, Does this
Uh-huh.
is just like automatic? You
Oh yeah.
automatically have that eye?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. And to help had to set the alarm to audible so every time a door opens it tells you what door in the house opens because he's the little escape artist who just always wants to go outside, let the dog out. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. All
hmm
right, my friend. Just thought you'd enjoy that. Anyway, thank you very much, Mike. We will check back, sir. It is 76 degrees already in northern New Jersey, 75 degrees in Trenton. Los Angeles now, it is 69, 67 degrees in San Diego, 5 minutes after the hour. And in terms of traffic, we do have this, we have a crash investigation going on with possible property damage on the New Jersey Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound, north of interchange 7A 195. They had to zoom in tight, which is why the camera's doing that. Sorry about that. But you can see this is being cleared up. This has been going on for a couple of hours. So when they say damage, it was probably the overhead. It was probably a vehicle, a truck that had. You can see that truck right there looks damaged. You see the hull. So maybe the trailer was elevated and hit the overpass. That's what I'm thinking. So you could see there it could be damage. You could see that there's a backhoe scooping stuff up. So it was probably whatever was in that truck went all over the highway, and now that's got to be cleaned up. So that is by exit 7A 195 in Robbinsville. The right lane is currently blocked, as you can see, because of that. What else do we have? We had one other issue on Route 18. Looks like that was cleared up. Let's go to the Hudson River crossings in the New York area. The approach to the Holland Tunnel right now is already heavy at 6 after the hour. Look at this. This is Route 139. Look at how heavy that is. Making your way to the right tube. The cars that are moving in the middle are the Jersey City local traffic cars, so you can't use those as a judge. But the ones on the extreme left and the 3 lanes on the right, those are the ones all going into the tube, and they're all stopped. So that'll tell you we have 45 minutes in. Lincoln Tunnel is only about 30 to 35. That's actually your better bet into the helix. It's look pretty light. You don't start to get a buildup till after the top of the screen when they start to turn around in the helix, and that's going to cost you about 30 minutes in. That's really, I think it's even less than that. Usually from that point, if there's no traffic, it's only about 10 to 15. We're told 30. And then the GWB, upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach. That's moving, but it is slowly moving. That's only about 15 minutes in. And if we could show you the 80-95 punching up, you could see right there. Oh, the upper level is heavier than the lower. So the upper's on the right, lower's on the left. Your better bet is the lower level. In right now in California, we have a collision reported East LA on the 5 at Olympic Boulevard off ramp. We also have a collision now in West LA on the 10 at Bundy Drive Street off ramp, and a collision on Colorado State Freeway exit in Altadena. It is 8 minutes past the hour, and a Florida pastor has been arrested after investigators accused him of sexually abusing a 14-year-old boy whom he met online. Police say he also had sexual contact with an adult without telling them that he was HIV positive. Detectives found the suspect through tips from Instagram and the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. He now faces a number of felony charges, including crimes involving a minor, failing to disclose his HIV status, and drug offenses. A 15-year-old dressed as a clown has been detained in connection with the fatal stabbing of a 78-year-old Illinois man. Police found the victim in a roadway after receiving reports late Monday night. Doorbell cam footage showed the teen approaching home saying, "I have a gift for you," while carrying a large knife. Little horror story reenact, not realizing you can't really do that in real life. Authorities have not announced formal charges yet, and the investigation remains ongoing to see if there's any kind of psychological issues involved here. A California man arrested after allegedly pretending to be part of the security team at President Trump's golf course. Investigators say he was carrying a loaded handgun, fake security credentials. He actually walked up to Trump's Secret Service team. He had one of these. These are called IFBs, intentional feedback, which is the earpiece so people can talk to you. He was wearing one and pretending to talk into his wrist so that other Secret Service thought that he was part of their detail. Because remember, there are thousands of Secret Service members. You don't know everybody personally. He allegedly said to them he was part of some other national security team. So they just assumed, why would they think otherwise? Imagine just play the part. And he got that close. It's really scary. Authorities said that he had been watching federal security preparations before Trump's visit and just kind of waded in. He now faces state and federal weapons charges, including possession of an unregistered short-barreled rifle. Officials say the arrest raised serious concerns because of previous assassination attempts. You think It's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. The U.S. Senate confirmed Dr. Erica Schwartz as the new director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That's the hardest thing for a news anchor to say, because you say it as a singular, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. She becomes the agency's first confirmed leader in nearly a year after months of leadership changes. Everybody was the interim, because the Senate, is so divided ideologically. But congratulations to you, Doctor. That's awesome. And we are all very fortunate to have you as our new director of the CDC. A lot of people think that that Fauci was the director of the CDC. He wasn't. He was the director of the allergy division. But he was still the highest paid member of government in the time that he was at his post. It is now 11 minutes past the hour. Disney and TikTok have announced a new partnership, allowing creators to make videos using official Disney characters and franchises. I thought this was going to happen. Having been an employee, I no longer am, but I was an employee of Disney for 20 years. The one thing about Disney is it's sort of like if you can't beat them, join them. For years, everybody who would have a fake Mickey Mouse outfit or whatever, they would try to prosecute you, and rightfully so. I mean, I don't work for them anymore, but I'll just say, you want to protect your franchise. But so many people were using Disney characters in a positive way, trying to sing a song or show something with their child, that you couldn't just ban everybody. So as long as it was in a positive way, Disney's like, all right, we'll work out a deal. So the agreement includes popular brands such as Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars. Some videos will also appear in Disney Plus's new vertical feed called Vert. Smart. Disney, if there's any company that knows how to monetize, it is Disney, and I applaud them for it. Disney says the partnership is designed to help younger audiences engage with the characters in new ways. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. The parents know about it, but a lot of young kids, they need to understand what is part of the Disney world, the Disneyverse. So good for them for doing that. 12 minutes after the hour, Chipotle has removed jalapenos from its Minnesota restaurants after they were linked to a salmonella outbreak. Health officials have identified 110 cases, mostly patients reporting they had recently eaten at Chipotle. The company replaced the peppers with supplies from different growers while investigators continue to trace the source. The FDA also investigating other possible ingredients that could be connected to the outbreak. The U.S. government has refunded about $100 billion to businesses after courts ruled that parts of President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs were not lawful. The refunds represent about 60% of the tariff money collected under the policy. Nearly $29 billion in additional claims still being reviewed, while some payments remain delayed because of missing banking information. And a small training plane safely made an emergency landing in Florida after experiencing engine trouble. The pilot reported dropping oil pressure and oil fumes in the cockpit and an engine failure light while approaching the airport. Unable to reach the runway, the pilot did the right thing, chose to land on the highway. You know that interstate highways are actually built for that purpose. Most interstate highways have at least 1 mile stretch of straight road, which makes it 5,000 feet. That is enough for most planes, including small jets, to land. And that's why they have that. So he actually did the right thing, landed on the interstate highway. That is the safest thing to do. Other than crash, that's the safest thing to do. Thankfully, the cars didn't hit him. Dash cam video captured that moment, and 2 people were on board. Nobody got hurt. The FAA is investigating. If you could walk away from it, it's a good flight, right? 14 minutes past the hour. When we come back, a deeply personal quest to come to terms with loss, mental illness, and addiction. Plus, meteorologist Mike Favetta's super hot forecast, temps today in the mid-90s, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings. We're back in 2. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato for your Thursday live in New Jersey and New York. Now we welcome our friends in Los Angeles and the Sunshine State of Florida. 17 minutes past the hour, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Going to be super hot in the Northeast. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
So, Mike, could this go 3 days? Could we actually have a heat wave here?
I think we may, yeah, especially with highs projected, Ken, to feel like they're around 100 this afternoon. It's that heat and humidity combined that will make you feel very uncomfortable with the loads of sunshine that are rolling in across New Jersey today. Not exactly right now, thanks to the low clouds that are around, but those clouds clear out quickly, and with those clouds breaking up, allowing for lots of warming due to the sun this afternoon. And then, of course, we have the humidity helping to create a quick passing storm by the end of the day. Could get another round of thunderstorms not only tomorrow but also on Saturday. And then the clearing that occurs with that cold front and high pressure on Sunday will look beautiful just in time to start off next week with some nice warm weather on Monday. But it'll feel much better by that point. Here's a local, a closer view, if you will. By tomorrow night, we get another quick round of storms later on in the afternoon into the evening. Clearing for Saturday. Saturday afternoon could have another quick passing thunderstorm. And then Sunday really looks pleasant. The second half of the weekend, drier, less humid, a nice feel. I think Monday is a nice way to start off next week. And then I think into the middle of next week, we keep it warm, but not necessarily ridiculously humid as it has been. Keeping an eye on what's going on into the next few days. You see the view here of this high resolution showing a little bit of these storms coming in the northern half of the state. So the flooding risk is still there, given how these storms aren't moving very quickly, allowing for some really heavy downpours even again on Saturday. So it's every day we get a chance of rain, but it's not a washout each and every day. And that's important to note because you look at the apps on your phone and you see, oh, thunderstorm every day. Yeah, but it's you still get a decent amount of clear sky each afternoon. And that's what you see here with a lot of clear sky moving in our direction. We'll take a check of the West Coast where there is a continued and prolonged heat wave going on there as well. That's coming up with another check of your forecast, Ken, in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you. It is 76 degrees northern New Jersey right now. That is hot for this early hour. And it is humid, as Mike was saying. You just step outside, you need to wring your clothes out. 70 degrees in Trenton. Over to Los Angeles, it is currently 69. Remember, it's only 4:20 in the morning there, and it's 69 also in San Diego. In terms of traffic, let's go over to the Jersey Turnpike. We had this before. This is crash with property damage on the Turnpike northbound, North of Interchange 7A, 195 Robbinsville. The right lane currently blocked. They're working on that. That's going to be there for a while, just causing a bit of a brake check slowdown. As you can see, they're down to about 25, 30 as they're passing. Just be aware of that. At least it is moving, just the right lane closed. The other area roadways are really just volume delays at this time. The major issues now are crossing the Hudson River. So let's go over to the Holland Tunnel approach, Route 139 from the Turnpike over to the tubes. You can see that that's bumper to bumper. Look at the right side and to the right tube. That's stopped. That's about a 45 to 50-minute drive in already. We switch over to the Lincoln Tunnel, 495. Much better than that, actually. It's only about 15 minutes into the Helix. The Helix at the very top where you start to lies. Helix is Latin for snail shell, for snail. So that's why it's called that, because it wraps around in a circle. And that is actually only about 15 minutes in. GWB also pretty, it's heavy, but moving. So at this hour, that's considered pretty good. It's about a 20 to 25-minute ride in, upper level on your right. Don't do that on the shoulder, sir. Lower level is on your left. Over to Los Angeles. We have a report of a fire now, and this is in West LA on the 105 at Crenshaw Boulevard off-ramp. A collision now in Central LA at the 10 and the 110 where they connect, and another collision and this is on I-5 at the Olympic Boulevard off-ramp in East LA. Our next guest took an extraordinary journey through one of the most remote regions of the Himalayas. But it wasn't simply about adventure, it was a very deeply personal experience for this individual to come to terms with loss and mental illness and addiction within his own family. Nigel Roberts has quite the impressive background. He was a former World Bank director. That's a rarity, right? An economist, trained person, brilliant mind. He's the author of The Leopard and the Moon, a new memoir that blends a remarkable trek that takes you through Nepal with a candid story of grief, resilience, and self discovery. And we say good morning to Nigel. Good to have you on, sir.
Good morning.
All right. Well, I will never debate you on economics because I know I'll lose. So there you go. It's good to have you on, though. You know more about it than probably 99.9% of the humans on Earth. Your book opens with a question rather that many families ask themselves when they lose a loved one to mental illness or addiction. They always try to blame themselves, right? Is it my
Mhm.
fault? So talk about your circumstance and what have you learned?
Yeah. So Ken, both my wife and my daughter suffered from bipolar disorder. My wife for much of her life, and my daughter for the last 5 years of her life. And one way and another, this disease killed both of them. It led to addiction and eventually to untimely death. So if you live with loved ones and try to help them and fail, inevitably you feel bad about what happened, you feel guilty, you wish you'd done things differently. It's both inevitable, but there's always an element of truth in it. There always are things that you should have done differently, you could have done better. So what I decided, or what I felt instinctively, was that I needed to think this whole business through and make time away from my normal daily routines. And my way of doing that happened to be to go on a hike in the Himalayas. That sounds bizarre, but I had worked in Nepal for many years and had done a lot of hiking there. So for me, it was a very familiar thing to do. It was a way of deliberately cutting out time to kind of go through a process of trying to understand my part in what had happened to my poor daughter and wife.
Well, first, let me just say we extend our condolences to you to lose either a child or a spouse is gut wrenching and life altering. To lose both, I can't even fathom. And so our deepest condolences. No
Thank
one
you.
should have to go through that, sir. And we just everybody deals with that grief differently, I guess. Going to Nepal is quite a dramatic thing to do. Um, was that something that
Yeah.
entered your mind relatively early in the process, or was that something you thought about over time after the deaths of your family members?
I think after a couple of years after my wife died, my daughter died first. A couple of years after my wife died, I just didn't feel I was getting anywhere with trying to process what had happened. And that's when it occurred to me that the best way in my case, of trying to do that was to go somewhere familiar, do something
Mhm.
that was difficult, and in that sense, force myself to confront these things. And then, having come back, the real processing and healing, I think, came through writing, actually writing it down, because yeah, if you try and write a memoir like this, you sort of force yourself into a position where you have to confront what happened and eventually, get it down in some way. So that's how it happened with me.
Wow. And so did you see that the physical challenge and the physical exertion helped you process your emotional stresses? Did that help? Because I know only from my
Yeah.
family, I have people who are heavily into weightlifting. And I noticed whenever there were deaths in the family, that those individuals were at the gym constantly, like 3 times, not to compare, but they were at the gym
Yeah.
constantly, and that was their way of just getting rid of the built-up stresses in their bodies.
Yeah, it was. And something happened that I didn't realize at the time, and I now only understand afterwards. Walking is it's a sort of meditative process,
Hmm.
and there's a physical component to that. So, in treating trauma, one of the commonly recognized ways of doing that is a process called EMDR, which relies on a kind of bilateral alternative movements of different parts of your body. It could be reacting to light or to sound or actually tapping. And that engages a part of your brain, the unconscious part of your brain, that helps process trauma. Now, I didn't realize that's what walking does at the time, but clearly it does do that. And I think other forms of physical activity can have a similar effect.
That's brilliant. And what did writing, I was going to say, what did writing the book do? But I guess writing the book in conjunction with the physical activity, what did that do in terms of helping you overcome, to some extent, the intense
Yeah.
feelings of grief and self-forgiveness?
Well, so by writing something down, the intention was obviously that other people would read about this. So
Mhm.
I'd made a decision that I was going to share this. That itself, I think, forced me to be candid. I'm not particularly kind to myself in this book.
Mhm.
I say it as I felt and as I feel it was in terms of my culpability. Um, and that decision process, I think, it turned out to be very healing. I didn't exactly see that it would be, but I think instinctively I knew it would be in going ahead with that.
Wow. The book is called The Leopard and the Moon. Everybody should read it, whether you're dealing with guilt and sadness and loss or not. But the fact that you have opened yourself up, your emotions and your personal life like this is remarkable. And we hope you continue to heal. And we appreciate you coming on. Nigel Roberts, former World Bank director,
Thank you.
and again, author of The Leopard and the Moon. We appreciate you, sir, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ken. That's very kind.
Thank you, sir. Very special man. That's a lot to go through. 29 minutes after the hour. When we come back, Path is retiring the SmartLink card, and the Sherrill administration says it is putting New Jersey veterans first. Also, who or what was the real winner during FIFA? A lot of big questions. I know somebody who could answer. Tom Bergeron, the founder, owner, and editor of Binge.com. He's going to be here to talk about that and more coming up next. Good morning. 31 minutes past the hour, Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, live on the East Coast and way over there on the West Coast. It's amazing with those satellites what we can do these days. We also have a special channel in Florida for the Sunshine Staters. Now, meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Bet you didn't know we were on the satellite.
Or the fiber, right? It
There's
feels like Florida.
Every time,
Ken.
I'm sorry, I got to cut in. There's
Okay.
a commercial that's in my brain
Mhm.
for a fiber company in my part
Yeah.
of central New Jersey.
Okay.
And the person who does the commercial has English as a second language. You could tell I'm a Spanish speaker. I know you understand Spanish. I have a master's in Spanish. I speak it well. And I know this person's a Spanish speaker because every time they say the word fiber, they say fiber because the B and the V in Spain, it's like a V. And I hear this person say, you can get your fiver. And I'm like, oh my God, how did no one say, okay, I'm sorry, I'm digressing too much. Hi, Mike. It's going to be hot, isn't it?
Into marketing, because it's almost like the state of Florida is marketing the weather in New Jersey. You just walk outside and it's like, it's hard to breathe. That's how humid it is. And it's that sticky feel that lasts all throughout the next few days. That's why we have the heat advisory up. A couple of showers came through late last night and into the rest of today, bringing back some clouds this morning, but a very muggy feel as that warm wind keeps pumping in all of that moisture here across the Northeast. Now, out to the desert Southwest, it's clear, but it is brutally hot with this record heat that continues today. You see the record heat down there toward Vegas and even points north of there, even toward LA, and extending into portions of the Northwest by tomorrow. So that heat bubble expands in size, really delivering that hot weather out west for the next several days. It's not just today, it's right through Friday into Saturday with that persistent warm air coming on in, unusually hot. And you say, oh, yeah, it's summer. This time of year normally would get hot in Southern California. Not really, not this unusually warm, especially there in the Rockies where that heat continues to persist right through Monday. So again, with the clear sky there allowing for some unusually warm weather down for the folks in California, we, on the other hand, just have the humidity to go along with, and it's the heat advisory that lasts through Saturday evening that doesn't break until we get to Sunday morning for a refreshing second half of the weekend. We'll tell you about that coming up with your 7-day forecast in just a bit, Ken.
Wow, I love the fact that you give us a 7-day forecast for like the cost of a 5-day forecast. It doesn't cost a penny more, and that's very generous of you, Mike. Thank you, sir.
I
We will check back, and I appreciate you. It is 76 degrees northern New Jersey, 75 in Trenton right now. Actually, 76 in north central New Jersey, 75 in Trenton, and it is 72 degrees now. It's changed in Cape May. So the heat is being felt all over the state of New Jersey, 69 degrees, Los Angeles, 69, San Diego as well. And Path is retiring the SmartLink card. The Sherrill administration says it's putting New Jersey veterans first. And what was the real winner, or who was the real winner during FIFA? Try beer. Tom Bergeron, the founder, owner, and editor of binge.com, binje.com, business in New Jersey every day. Howdy! Here to talk about that and more. Good morning to you, Tom.
Pleasure to be here, Ken. What's going on?
Always good to have you, sir. So we didn't get a list of topics. So I said, I'm going to go to your website and just figure it out. So I hope you don't mind. I plunked these topics off of Binge. See, I actually read Binge. I like Binge. It's excellent, sir. Sometimes
I knew we had one
the
reader,
owner,
so we're good.
You got it. Way more than one. Tell the owner that I really like his site. So what is the deal with the SmartLink card? It's going away after how many years now?
So it's been, I don't know when that came in. It's at least a decade or two, but it's just another modern update to the transit system. And everybody wants a modern transit system. We'll see how they do it. But the story we wrote went back to when it was a couple of coins that you throw in, and then they had this crazy thing where you got tokens that you would get at a discount. Ken, I know you remember. You'd stop, you'd ask the toll taker, you hand them a 5 or a 10, and they'd give you a roll of tokens. And this is just the next natural progression, where it's just going to be the tap card. People of our generation sometimes struggle with that, myself included, but it is the future. And if we want to have a modern transportation system, we need to have a modern payment system. So the SmartLink card will be done by the end of the month. You will have till the end of the year to transfer those funds elsewhere. If not, your SmartLink card will be just a piece of nostalgia, like an old token from the turnpike.
And I'm sure, being that they'll have tap sensors, the next step is going to be you could tap your phone or tap a credit card with that has the transmit thing or whatever, and that'll be the option if you don't have the card. That's where it's going, just like in New York City, where whatever New York does, it seems that New Jersey 6 to 12 months later does. But it's, hey, you know what? It's good and it's bad. It's good in that it speeds things up. It's bad in that every time there are fare hikes, you don't feel it as much. It's sort of like Easy Pass. You don't feel it as much because it gets dipped out of your pocket and then you get it at the end of the month. You're only mad one day instead of every day. So kind of interesting.
100%.
Right? Well, now here's something that I think most people can get behind. I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. The Sherrill administration pushing something that is way overdue but welcome, and that is getting everybody behind New Jersey's veterans, and in a very fast way. It's not like they apply for something and have to have 20 people help them apply, and 6 years later they get a response. Talk about this wonderful program that we applaud the Sherrill administration for getting behind it.
The biggest way to look at things when it comes to veterans services and veterans affairs is it's really easy to propose something and get behind it and wave the flag. It's harder to implement it and keep your eye on the ball. And I was joking, why are we going to talk about veterans? It's not even Veterans Day or Memorial Day, because that's the only 2 times a year when we talk about veterans. Having a veteran as governor, having a first husband who was a veteran, is making them fast track some things. So today they announced that they've hired Michael Ambach as the state's first veterans advocate, who does exactly what you say. He's going to stick up for veterans, trying to get people to move on potential services, trying to get veterans connected to services that exist. Right? This is a Navy veteran, a decorated serviceman from Iraqi Freedom and some other initiatives. So this is great. And then earlier this week, they announced a Bringing Veterans Home initiative, which was started in the previous administration, to be fair. But they've now reached where 2,500 veterans have gained housing. 2,500. That's taking an initiative and getting it to the finish line.
That is huge. And there are... the way it works, it's like everything is fast tracked. It feels in it so that nobody falls through the cracks. That if somebody applies, they will be responded to within 24 hours. The fact that they thought of those little nuances and those little details says a lot. And I think that if Governor Sherrill, I don't want to assume, but I think we could probably guess, if she were not a veteran, if her husband were not a veteran, those are little things that probably would not have been essential in the plan. But the fact that she could personalize it and say, hey, no, we need to be on top, because a lot of the vets have substance abuse problems, have mental challenges because of what they went through in battle, and they come back and they have these challenges, and then they end up under an overpass. That is not the dignity we want to impart on these people who risk their lives for us.
So, and look, we give credit to the government, as we should, but this is an instance where the business community really steps up, and everybody talks about paying your fair share, and we always hear these stories about big bad business. I wrote down just a couple of business leaders that are really doing a job and have been for years. You know, Jack Morris of Edgewater has been a leader on veteran housing. Deb Tantliff of Tantalum just opened up a veterans housing project in Jersey City. Christian Health, which you think is a healthcare organization, said, hey, we need to address housing, so we're going to open up housing for veterans and seniors. The city of Middletown hired some people to come in to provide veterans housing. So the business community has really stepped up here. And then, of course, you know, there's other programs. Bank of America, as it always does, has stepped up with veterans programs. They provided tickets to the World Cup games. We'll get in the World Cup in a second. But they're doing a lot to help veterans. Bankers Association has grants for veterans. Horizon, RWJ, and HMH have gotten together to create veterans health fairs where people can come in every county. So a lot of people are doing a lot of good things for veterans, and a lot of it starts in the business community, not just the government community. And I think the business community deserves a tip of the hat for that.
Absolutely. It all works symbiotically, right? Symbiotically, to have the business community, government, and the folks all together, that's how we'll have a successful state. And we have all the elements there. We just got to get the gears oiled and working properly. And then, of course, you just talked about it briefly here. Beer, the real FIFA winner. What is that about? Our good folks at Budweiser and other brands too, right?
So look, it's always fun to see the post big event stories that came out. And the one that came out today from something called the Beer Institute. Yes, there is such a place. It's in DC. They tracked beer sales at the stadiums that hold the World Cup sites, and they came with a year-over-year analysis and said 2 million more cases of beer were purchased in stadium sites than would have been at similar events from the previous year. That's up 25%. And then they just tracked beer sales in general in host cities versus non-host cities. Host cities or host metro areas, as we would say, up 11% year over year, whereas non-host cities up 2%. And of all of the host cities, New York, New Jersey region edged out Boston, where actually we heard about Boston having a beer shortage. Houston, LA, a couple others, but New York, New Jersey sold more beer during the World Cup than any other area. So yes, we hosted the final, but we were the beer champion of the World Cup as well.
Woo! And the good news is they weren't driving, because you couldn't drive to get to and from the stadium, right? You basically had to be driven or taken. So let them drink all they want at that point. That's fine, as long as nobody gets hurt.
Excellent point.
What else? Right? What else you working on this week, Tom?
So we're just looking at the general idea of where the economy is going. We're starting to hear more things. The governor is she hit her 6 months standpoint where turning a little bit more to the economic drivers. We're seeing how that's going to go. Energy costs are going to be a big issue. As you know, there's going to be another rate case coming out. We'll talk about that next week. The challenges of utilities who need to make rate cases because it increases the infrastructure. As bad as the storms were around the 4th of July, had we not been making infrastructure updates since Superstorm Sandy, it would have been really bad. So utilities have a real challenge there where no matter what they do, it's, quote, not enough if your lights aren't turning on. But there'll be more rate cases. We've seen that for adding to more infrastructure, and we're generally heading in the right direction on utility. So that's something we're following.
Awesome, sir. We'll be checking it out. Tom Bergeron, founder, owner, editor of binge.com, binje.com, business in New Jersey every day. Thank you, Tom. We'll see you next week.
Always.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. 44 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta's full forecast coming up next, and it's going to be a hot one. Temps in the mid-90s. We're coming back in 2 minutes. back to Mornings with Ken Rosato, 46 minutes past the hour. We will take your calls. It doesn't cost you a thing. It's an 888 number, 658-0234, 888-658-0234. Temps in the 90s today, maybe for a few days. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the forecast for your city.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Mike, I would imagine if you opened the door to let Rocco out this morning, he turned around and came right back in with the heat and the humidity.
Do you have like a spy satellite on our, because that door is southern facing, so maybe you do. Maybe you do have the spy satellite, because that's exactly what he did. Knew he needed to go out. He walked outside, took 2 looks left, right, went no, and came right back in. It was that yucky outside. It was gross. And usually I like to accompany him to his little potty spot, but I'm like, no, I don't want to go out either. It's yucky. Because that's the deal. It's the dew on the grass, the wet weather that's around, that very humid, sticky feel. You know when you walk outside and the weather is so lovely that you feel like the weather's giving you this big warm hug? Yeah, today's not that. And it's going to feel very sticky and mucky through the next several days with the hot weather around today, the heat advisory in place, as these storms work across the country and deliver round after round of afternoon storms. So we'll get dry mornings in there, especially this morning, tomorrow morning, into Saturday morning, but the afternoons feature some rounds of wet weather as that weather heats up each day. Then by Sunday, we finally break the heat and bring back some cooler conditions. Monday into Tuesday looking okay. Still some periods of sunshine, but also a passing shower or storm. Best way to show you is zoom into the futurecast here. You see that by this afternoon, we're nice and clear. However, passing storms come through later today. Better chance of those storms maybe even being severe tomorrow afternoon after the heat breaks. And then by Sunday, we do it all over, or Saturday rather, do it all over again. Saturday morning, a clear start with some afternoon storms that return later in the day. That's with the front that clears us out and dries us into Sunday, bringing back lovely conditions into Sunday and Monday. Really pretty weather on the way through the next few days into Sunday and beyond. All of the heat through the middle of August is right down here across the southeast, and then we have the wet weather out west that takes over, but our drought situation really improving, especially through the next few days as that rain continues. You saw the flash flooding yesterday again. Well, I think we get another round of rain today and tomorrow each afternoon with those heavy downpours, Ken.
And we could probably use it. So how are we doing with the water in the state of New Jersey, by the way?
The reservoirs are up. They are looking really good because of all of this rain, and it's falling where it's needed most.
Oh, that's a good thing, finally. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
because I'm tired of hearing, with all the heavy rains we've been having, I'm tired of hearing we
Water
don't have enough.
restrictions. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Good. Now, pretty soon they're going to get to a point where they say, it's 2:00. Water your lawn again. Please go out and water it again. So that'll be a good thing when we get to that point. All right, Mike, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you. It is 77 degrees north central New Jersey, 75 degrees now in Trenton. It is 74 degrees in Cape May, 76 in Vineland, Los Angeles, 69, San Diego, 69 as well. All right, in terms of traffic, we have a crash now, 295 northbound at exit 36, Route 73, Mount Laurel. 2 left lanes closed. We have that issue from earlier of a truck that may have struck an overpass, and this is by the Turnpike exit 7A, which is near 195. The right lane is blocked, as you can see. Not really impacting traffic much. Earlier, it looked like traffic was going slowly past there, but now you can see even with the right lane blocked, things are moving pretty well, but it's going to be a while before they take care of that. Look at the cab. The cab is all mangled, and it looks like the contents came out onto the highway off by the shoulder in the right lane. So that's going to be a while. I have a backhoe there trying to scoop everything up. Fortunately, it's not impacting traffic very heavily. It was about an hour ago, but not so much now. That's good news. Hudson River crossings, the Holland Tunnel approach, 139 has been an absolute mess all morning long. It's 45 to 50 minutes. Look at the stop traffic. Just an absolute mess, 45 to 50. And you're better off trying to go to the Lincoln. Lincoln is significantly better than the Holland right now. It's only about 25 minutes. And see the traffic going away, going toward the top. That's the traffic going to the Helix, and it's extraordinarily light. Considering it's only about 4 miles away from the Holland, you're better off going to the Lincoln and avoid all that bumper-to-bumper mess and then deal with it once you get into Manhattan. Over to the GWB, that's starting to really build now. We're up to about 40 to 45. The GWB, upper and lower levels 80, 95, upper on the right, lower on the left. And over to Los Angeles we go. Couple of things to tell you about, and that is, let's see if I could bring this up here. Los Angeles, we have a collision now. East LA on South Atlantic Boulevard at Whittier Boulevard. There's also a report of a fire now on the 110 at the 105 in South LA. And we have a collision, no injuries, Central LA at the 10 and the 110 connector. 52 minutes past the hour, and two New Jersey municipal water systems were targeted in cyber attacks that officials believe may be linked to Iran. The attacks temporarily disabled remote monitoring systems. That forced workers to switch to manual operations, which was fine, but it's unnerving to think that someone from another country, especially an inimical state government like Iran, could get access to our systems. State officials said that drinking water remained safe. There was no service interruption. The affected systems have since been secured with stronger cybersecurity measures. Federal agencies, including the FBI and CISA, are all assisting in the investigation. CISA deals with the cyber stuff. Similar cyber attacks have recently targeted water utilities in at least a dozen states. So guess what? All the water utility companies, now that you know the hostile governments are coming after you, maybe we should be a little tighter on our cyber stuff. Just a thought. I don't know. It's just me. 53 minutes past the hour, a state grand jury has decided not to criminally charge a New Brunswick police officer who fatally shot 68-year-old Deborah Terrell during a mental health crisis in 2025. Officers responded after reports that Terrell was threatening neighbors with a knife, leading to a brief standoff outside her apartment. Police used pepper spray and a taser before Officer Joshua Plaza shot her when she approached with a knife, according to investigators. Terrell's family and community advocates argue the situation should have been handled with greater mental health support and de-escalation. Yeah, the officer had somebody running at him with a knife. What are you supposed to do? The family plans to protest. They're calling for changes in how police respond to mental health emergencies. But I also say to people, if you have a relative who has mental health issues, you have to be aware also that police have to protect their lives. And people with mental health challenges can kill people. Just because they have a mental health challenge doesn't mean they're not capable of killing somebody. This is just a tragic circumstance overall. But this is why it's important people take their meds, stay on program, etc., because tragedies can happen. A precautionary boil water advisory has been lifted for parts of Mercer County following a water main break that happened in Ewing. State testing confirmed that drinking water now meets all health and safety standards. Trenton Waterworks says the customers can safely resume normal water use. Officials recommend flushing household plumbing by running cold water taps for about 5 minutes. Just let it all run, but make sure every tap in the house, including your outdoor stuff, let it all run, because otherwise you'll have residual bacteria in certain taps. Flush toilets, let the water run. Residents should also clean their ice makers, dump the ice that was made, refill water heaters if necessary. You don't want to blow out the bacteria through any kind of a system in your house, and just basically purge your house of the dirty water. New Jersey schools could soon share in New Jersey schools could soon share in the same spring break time. How many of you have a child in a grammar school in one district, and then they go to a regional high school, and the grammar school has one spring break and the high school has another, and you want to take the kids on vacation? And that happens. I've heard this from friends. I'm not a parent, but I've heard this from friends who are parents all over the state. And this has been a problem for years in New Jersey. It seems that spring break falls anytime between the end of February and the end of May. It depends on where you are. It's almost ridiculous, or it is ridiculous. So now it looks like we unify the calendars. Right now, each district sets its own school calendar independently. Supporters say a unified break could simplify travel and scheduling for families all across the state. An historic Hoboken brownstone, once owned by the parents of Frank Sinatra, well, Frank Sinatra got it for them, has been listed for nearly $4 million The renovated property includes a 3-bedroom duplex and a separate 1-bedroom garden apartment. Sinatra purchased the home for his folks in the 1940s, adding to its historical significance. Realtors say the home offers a rare combination of luxury living and New Jersey history, right in Hoboken by the waterfront. Beautiful. A beloved 250-year-old copper beech known as the kissing tree in Westwood is dying from a terminal fungal disease. The tree has long been a landmark. It's famous locally. Everybody goes and makes a kiss there. Romantic carvings were left by couples over generations. Say there's no cure for the disease. Efforts are underway to prolong the tree's life as much as possible. Workers have added fresh mulch and soil around its base, sort of like when somebody's dying. You give them the most comfortable situation as they die. The tree is believed to be one of the tallest copper beeches in New Jersey. Dates back to the 1700s. Community members are hoping conservation efforts will help preserve the historic tree as long as possible. Hopefully they could take a branch and graft it and get it to grow another tree. That would be nice, but very sad if that sucker goes. Thank you for many, many generations of joy. It is coming up on 58 minutes past the hour. For those of you watching on LACA on the West Coast, stay tuned for your local news. If you are watching on New Jersey, we'll be right back live with New Jersey news, opinion, weather, and traffic. Thanks for watching Mornings. Good morning. It's 8 a.m. Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, hot today, highs mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, it is sticky beyond sticky right now. When the windows fog from the inside, that tells you something about the humidity.
It started last night and still can't see out them this morning with 47 days left, Ken, until fall arrives. So there are just over, 6-7 weeks left in summer, waiting for the warmer weather to dry us out. But that won't happen until Sunday. As long as the temperatures start in the upper 70s, we are well within heat advisory criteria. Oh my gosh. These dew points are gross. Okay, anytime the dew point is above 75, it feels like Miami. Right now in Morristown, this is like Cuba humidity. I mean, like in the mountains, the deep in the mountains of Puerto Rico and Cuba, that's where you'd find humidity this high, dew points measuring near 80. So yeah, disgustingly humid this morning, and it stays really warm through this afternoon. We're already between 9 and 13 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So heat is rising, humidity is in place. It's going to be a hot one this afternoon. Hence the heat advisory that lasts clear through Saturday for New Jersey, especially for the northern half of the state. With actual temperatures today climbing to 97 in Newark by 3 o'clock this afternoon, 87 at the beaches, a little bit cooler there with the wind off of the water. It's going to feel much more humid through the end of the day with that humidity high into tomorrow. Get another round of storms late tomorrow afternoon, very isolated and scattered. And then going into Saturday morning, even more humid and hotter, taking our temperatures into the 90s once more. Sunday could have a little bit of drop in humidity, but it really takes its time for that northwesterly wind to clear out all the muggy weather and cool us down just a touch. So hot, hot, hot for the next few days. Yeah, it'll be heat wave by Saturday criteria. And then Sunday might even make it to 90 again in spots, given the delay of that cold front pushing out the humidity and bringing back some more comfortable weather by next weekend.
Yeah, it's sticky. I like heat, Mike, but this is yeah, this isn't heat.
Too
This
much.
is
Too much.
yeah, a little too much. All right. Well, in 6 months we'll be saying, remember that hot day back in August? Wouldn't it be nice to get back to
Always.
that?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. All right. Appreciate you, Mike. Thank you, sir. It is 8:02 right now, and the temperature 77 degrees in northern New Jersey, 75 degrees in Trenton, 74 degrees Cape May, and 76 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, we have an issue still, or not still, just this is on 280, disabled truck east of exit 8, Route 577, West Orange, center lane of 4 lanes closed. And you can see just this is about half a mile before that, just the slowdown beginning as the cars approach. 676, we have a crash northbound south of exit 5, Route 537 in Camden, right lane of 3 lanes closed. And on 295, crash with injuries northbound at exit 36, Route 73 in Mount Laurel Township. 2 left lanes are currently closed there. It just got a crash reported routes 1 and 9, northbound north of Route 35 in Woodbridge. The right lane is closed there. Earlier investigation still going on New Jersey Turnpike with a crash and property damage. This is outer roadway northbound north of interchange 7A, 195 interchange in Robbinsville. You can see the right lane has been blocked there for since the beginning of our broadcast, and that's still going on. It's not causing a massive problem, but there are some slowdowns going past. Hudson River crossings right now. The Holland Tunnel approaching the tunnel itself from 139, the Turnpike. Look at the right side. That almost looks like a still picture. That's not. Those cars are stopped. Granted, there is a traffic light there, but even with the light green, getting into the actual tube, absolutely stopped, bumper to bumper. It's going to cost you nearly an hour via the Holland Tunnel. Lincoln Tunnel significantly better. It's only about 20 minutes in around the Helix. That's moving very, very well. And then your GWB upper and lower level approaches, they have now gotten heavy. That's a solid 45 minutes. Upper levels on the right side of your screen, lower levels on the left. Again, 45 minutes into Manhattan. Well, this summer, people of all ages have the chance to become artistes by helping create spectacular giant puppets that'll take center stage during the Illumination 250 celebration. It's a full-day, multi-location community arts festival held in downtown Hackensack on Saturday, October 3rd. The free community workshops invite families, students, and neighbors to work alongside professional artists to build larger-than-life creations that'll march in a one-of-a-kind public parade. How fun is that? Joining us today are Danielle De Laurentiis from the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation and Sophia Michaelis, who is the co-director of Professional Arts. Is it processional or professional? Processional?
Well, we are both, but it is processional because we create processions.
I wasn't sure if it was a play on words or if it was a typo, so I'm glad we clarified.
We
and you are the
professionally
co-director.
create processions.
I love that. I love that. This is brilliant. I'm thinking back my days of being an anchor on Channel 7 years ago. We would always look for visual events like this. So it is so smart from a public relations perspective. If you want to get cameras to an event, this is what you do. So this is very, very, very smart of you folks. So let's start with Danielle. First of all, welcome to both of you ladies. Danielle, what inspired the idea to invite the community to help build these giant puppets instead of just creating them yourself, like they do with the Thanksgiving Day parade for Manhattan? They just create them and bring them out. You guys decided to have the community involved.
Right, exactly. Thank you, Ken, for having us. Yeah, so the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation, we have an initiative called Arts Bergen. And Arts Bergen, really our mission is to weave arts into community life. And the way that we do that is that it's not prescriptive. We don't go into a community and tell the public what they should be making. It's really getting down on the ground, listening to what people want to make for their public spaces. So that's really kind of the ethos of our work. And so having processional arts come and make this will really lead the public into creating these puppets was a natural fit for Illumination 250, which is this long day, all day, long day festival that will be celebrating arts and the America's 250. And really, you know, it's the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation. We're all about building community. So this Illumination 250 is really produced by a partnership of a number of nonprofits. It's funded by the New Jersey Economic Development, who's really interested in investing in public art as a way to bring people together, attract visitors, and support local economies. So, Sophia can talk a little bit more about what the actual happenings are in the workshop, but really, this is something that will break down barriers. Arts is great, and people can put down their phones and actually communicate with one another and make new friends and create something for the community.
Right, and Sophia, this art is very egalitarian, right? So it doesn't matter if you are, especially in this case, you could be an advanced artist or you could be somebody who's just walking along the street. The idea is you're part of the community, you take part in it if you'd like to, and that the contribution of each individual is sort of what makes it so special, right?
Absolutely, you got it. We like to say no experience necessary, one will be provided, both for coming to the workshops and helping us create the visual elements for the procession and for joining on October 3rd and being part of it. So I'm co-director with Alex Kahn of Processional Arts Workshop, and as artists, we create processions, parades, community performances, but always specific to a particular place and in collaboration with local community. And so, as Danielle was describing, they have invited us to be part of this Illumination 250, which is a one-day full arts event. So the part that we're doing is creating a procession that is somehow it's like a portrait in procession of Hackensack, Bergen County, surrounding communities. And we started with some brainstorming sessions. We invited the community to come and tell us stories. We're outsiders. We're not from Hackensack. So in a way, we can ask the really dumb questions of like, well, what is this place? What is important about Hackensack? What makes it different from other communities? And as we all come from somewhere and we often take that place for granted in some ways. And so it's interesting to hear what people have to say. And out of those stories, we started thinking about, okay, well, how can this translate? How can this manifest in a procession? And how can we build it in a week of workshops where people might come in, as you said, experienced artists or, willing amateurs wanting to learn. And we have designed this procession, which we're calling a river's tale, that really anchors in the Lenape story, the origin story of the Turtle Island. So there will be some turtles and these large puppets, and then populated also with lots of memories. People were talking fondly of a certain, a teacher who really made an impact on so many people, or a beloved business, or various bits and pieces of history of Hackensack or aspects of the community that seem important, an architectural detail, these things that make a place a home, a specific, make a place specific. So all of those details can potentially become a physical dancing, moving object in the parade. And that really depends on who comes to the workshops, who decides to do what. Like, we have a plan, but the workshops are collaborative. People will come in and they'll say, oh, that detail, that was meaningful to me. I want to help make that happen. And they might start it, and maybe they have to go. It takes a long time to make all these elements. And so then someone else will come the next session and they will see something has, the Origami Theater marquee has been started. And I'll be like, oh, I loved going there. And they want to continue it. And so every element will be worked on by many people. And then these turtles will anchor the river's story. The river, the Hackensack River, of course, runs parallel to Main Street and is at the very origin why Hackensack came to be where it is. So, so it felt like it was an interesting parallel history.
Well, a couple of things, Bergen County, I think the wealthiest county in all of the state of New Jersey, but it's also one of the biggest commuter counties into Manhattan, into New York for workers. It has so much to offer. Give us a website so people can get more information or find out how to get involved.
Yeah. People can go to, it's illumination250.com, really easy to remember. And that you can find out how to sign up for the workshops. The workshops run from August 14th to August 19th. There's multiple sessions, and you can also learn how to participate on October 3rd. There's 5 other interactive public art activities going on Illumination 250 Day. So we hope we want people to come, and more than welcome to invite us. And you don't have to be from Hackensack. Bergen County, but everyone is welcome.
You have to know the Billy Joel song, though. Hackensack, I'm sorry. I just had every time I hear Hackensack, it's just it's in my brain. But it's a great town, and this is a great event. It is called the Illumination 250 Celebration. Downtown Hackensack, multiple locations in downtown Hackensack. Go to the website and get the info. It's Saturday, October 3rd. Danielle De Laurentiis from the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation, Sophia Michaelis. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Am I, Sophia? Got it? All right. Thank you. Co-director of Processional Arts Workshop. Thank you both for coming on this morning. This sounds like a ball, and I appreciate the fact that you are New Jersey folks doing it up for the state. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having us.
Again.
Our pleasure. Thank you, ladies. How cool is that? It's going to be fun in Hackensack. It's 8:14 right now. When we come back, though, some sad news. Grief is something that we all experience. Young people, though, for them, they may experience it a little differently. It can often go unrecognized or misunderstood. Sometimes they bury it deep inside because they don't know how to let it out. We're going to be talking about that next. Partly cloudy, very, very hot today. Highs mid-90s, and it could be lasting a few days. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast, plus more when we come back in 2. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, hot today, highs mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike, it is hot and sticky already, 77 degrees, but the humidity is like two gajillion percent. I didn't know that hygrometers get up to 2 gajillion percent.
2 Google%. You look outside and you say, wow, not only is it humid, but you try and turn on the air conditioning in the car, and then you get the windshield full of the dew and the condensation because, well, this is the dew point. Anytime that temperature in your car is below 72 degrees, and I'm sure it is on a very humid morning such as this, there will be some condensation on the windshield. And that's what we're starting off with, reducing visibility on top of that due to all of that moisture in the air right down toward the coast. So this morning, while the clear sky will be around for the rest of the afternoon, that sun is really going to heat things up and make it turn very hazy and humid through the end of the day. You see the foggy term here, but that's really just with the cooler ocean air meeting some of that hot weather. 91 nevertheless in Tom's River, a very warm finish to the day. So again, anytime the dew points are in the 70s or higher, that's tropical. Anytime it's 75 or higher, that's just ridiculous. And it will be that hot and humid throughout tomorrow afternoon with the heat advisory in effect through Saturday evening. So even for Saturday, it's a very hot finish to the day. Likely have our last round of storms later Saturday night, and then we're back to clear sky on Sunday. Could even have a quick passing shower Sunday afternoon, given the amount of moisture that's in the air, and it takes some time for that front to push through and clear us out. The UV today at a 9, which is very high. If you can stay outside that long with all of the uncomfortable weather around. Now, all of this rain back off to the west coming in spurts today, so it's not this prolonged, rainy day for the next several days. There'll be plenty of sunshine in between, but still have a passing shower or storm that lasts a few minutes, just adding that to that steamy feel each day once the sun gets going. And throughout tomorrow, do it again later on in the evening with another round of passing, again, quick showers Saturday afternoon. So not to cancel any outdoor plans, but be mindful that there might be a quick passing shower or storm on not only Saturday, but again on Sunday, especially down toward the beaches. And then we finally enjoy that northerly breeze by Monday. Take some time to cool us off and make it feel much more pleasant. So here's our weekend, bringing back some very warm weather. Again, hot and humid both days, Saturday and Sunday. A true summer forecast, Ken.
There you go. All right, sir. Thank you very much. We'll check back with you, Mike. 77 degrees northern New Jersey, now 76 in Trenton. It is 75 degrees in Cape May and 78 degrees in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go right over to US 1 and 9. Routes 1 and 9, we have a crash with injuries northbound north of Route 35, Woodbridge Township. 2 right lanes of 3 lanes closed. You can see what a mess this is causing in Woodbridge, and that's going to be going on for quite a while. Yeah, it looks like a bus involved. Yeah, it sure does, Pam. Don't like to think about that, but that's what that is. And you got a lot of emergency crews on the scene. So we'll keep you updated as we get more information about that. We have pothole repairs now. New Jersey Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound south of interchange 10, Route 287 Edison. All lanes are currently open. Crash with injuries 295 northbound at exit 36. Route 73 Mount Laurel, left shoulder is closed. And then back to the Turnpike, there's a crash investigation and a crash with property damage on the Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound north of interchange 7A. This has been there all morning long. It looks like the back of that truck got damaged and everything was dumped onto the roadway. So they have a backhoe there trying to load everything off. Oh, now we lose the camera. Perfect timing. The Hudson River crossings, if we go to the Holland Tunnel, it has been a mess. 45 to 60 minutes in via the 139. You can see that. Look at on the right side there, just stopped traffic, making your way from the Turnpike into the tube. Over to the Lincoln Tunnel, that's much better. Lincoln is actually your best bet today. It's only 15 minutes in. It's actually moving fairly well. This is the biggest buildup I've seen all morning. Still only 15 to 20. Making your way into the Helix. And the GWB upper and lower, that has now built up. 8095 approach, the upper level on the right, lower on the left, and it's now going to cost you a solid 45 in. It is 8:21. Grief is something that everyone experiences, but for young people, it can often go unrecognized or misunderstood. And here in New Jersey, schools are now required to offer grief and loss education, making these conversations more important than ever. Joining us today is Kara Sanchez, who is the editor-in-chief of Get Griefy magazine and founder of Grief U for EDU, to discuss how schools and families and communities can better support grieving students. Good morning to you, Kara.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you on. This is a realistic topic that impacts everybody, but young people who may not have experienced grief all deal with grief we all deal with grief differently, but young people sometimes bury it. They don't know how to let it out. They don't know what to do to deal with it. They've never experienced it. So people sometimes experience it only with death, but that's not always the case. So talk about how grief, the definition, and how we deal with it has changed over the years.
Absolutely. Yes. Grief has definitely evolved as to what we understand it to be. And it is so much more than the loss of a human life. And even if there is a loss of a human life that occurs, there's the secondary losses that come after the fact. And so learning how to discuss and talk about grief and do it in a way that's relatable and approachable for teenagers as well as adults. I think adults have a hard time with this too, is really my ultimate goal with the magazine that I've created. But I really do think that having these conversations and providing a platform for people to share about all the types of grief that they've experienced throughout their life is really a pivotal point that we're at in our society. And that's why I'm really excited for the schools to be able to talk about this as well.
So some other types of grief might be, I guess, even like if parents had a divorce, you could be going through a type of grief. If you moved or got forced out of your home, God forbid, or became homeless or something, that's a major upset in a child's life, right?
Absolutely. I'm coming from the background of working in a school district and in a high school. And the unfortunate reality is many of our students were dealing with the deportations of their loved ones, as well as, yes, job loss, housing instability, even rifts amongst their friends. It's easy for us to chalk it up to being, oh, this is part of being a teenager. It is, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't talk about it or we brush it under the rug or minimize it. So yes, grief does equate to death, but it also equates to the ending of a dream or essentially an unexpected outcome. We all have these hopes and wishes for how we want our life to be, but when that doesn't play out, we have to be able to process and talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, I recently saw my father-in-law died earlier in the year, and my nephew, who is 12 years old, who's heavily into sports, he had all his sports teams, his teammates showed up. And to see these little kids give each other hugs and see what was going, these are friends, and you could see they were experiencing the grief because my father-in-law used to show up at all the games too, so they knew him. But you could see these kids and how they dealt with it and the support they were offering a fellow 12-year-old. We just don't think of kids as having that much empathy, but they sure do, don't they?
Oh, they do. They absolutely do. And the reality is they crave these conversations, but they crave it in a way that is relatable to who they are at their core. And so when it comes to grief, I do believe that we need to meet these adolescents where they are and create resources that are bold, that are colorful, that do infuse a little bit of life into it. Because as much as it's a heavy topic, it's all about learning how to carry the heaviness so they can still live a productive, purposeful life. I saw so many students in my building that would give up on their future based off of something that had happened to them. And we don't want that to happen. And so ultimately, we do need to create a space for these teenagers to communicate with grief.
So what are some of the signs to look out for that a student could be struggling with grief, even if they haven't experienced death?
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things that I think we as educators are quick to assume that we have a mental health crisis. We might have an unresolved or unrecognized grief crisis. A lot of times students will withdraw from their peer group or start acting out, or sometimes they do the opposite. There's a control aspect where they have felt like they've lost control, so they become hyper controlling of all of the things that are within their control. So there's a perfectionism at play. So there really is a wide variety of how students are going to express physically and emotionally their grief. But ultimately it's our job as educators, as the adults, to be able to provide them the space and the community and the resources so that way it can be processed and it doesn't go overlooked.
We have about a minute left. Want to hear about Get Griefy Magazine and Grief U for EDU. Tell us about that.
Yes. So Get Griefy Magazine has been in production. Yesterday, we just launched our 9th issue, which is the kids issue. It's directed for adolescents and teenagers. And we are including an incredible cast, I would say, of people who not only have inspiring grief stories, but we also have articles written from professionals for the teenage gaze. And we also have actual teenagers that are able to share some of their grief insights. And so it really is an incredible issue. It's bold, it's bright, it's colorful, and all of our issues are 100% free at getgriefy.com. And we do offer print on demand on Amazon. Grief U for EDU is a platform that I have created for schools and educators to become more grief informed and grief literate. And I'm offering workshops and things of that nature because, yes, I am an educator. I've worked in schools for 15 years, but I also consider myself a professional griever and really a primary source expert when it comes to grief because of all of the people that I've talked to through Get Griefy Magazine.
It is part of the reality of life that nobody wants to talk about and nobody likes to touch, but it's essential that it be dealt with and to be dealt with in a helpful way. It's good that somebody's doing it. Thank you for doing it. Kira Sanchez, editor-in-chief of Get Griefy Magazine, founder of Grief U for EDU. Thank you for coming on this morning and thanks for doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. You bet. Excuse me, I get a little verklempt. It's good to have you on. It is 77 degrees right now, 8:28. When we come back, next month marks the 25th anniversary of September 11 terrorist attacks. For millions of students today, it's a moment they only know through history books and the stories of those who lived through it. We're going to be talking about that. And our phone lines are open at 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings on a 95-degree day. We're coming back in 2. Good morning, Thursday, August 6th, 2026, 77 degrees right now at 8:31. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Partly cloudy, very hot today, highs mid-90s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
All right, Mike. Sticky is as sticky does.
Yeah, it feels really muggy outside this morning. You take a breath and you feel the humidity. It's almost like breathing in just hot steam. Because that's what it feels like even at the beaches today. Very, very warm weather with temperatures that will reach the low 90s even toward the beaches. And then you have that steam heat inland today without much of a sea breeze thanks to that wind out of the south. Only along the southeastern facing beaches, really south of Atlantic City, you get a little bit of relief. Beyond that, the bug meter is back to moderate, increased pest activity thanks to all the warm weather and the humid conditions. Pollen relatively low, but we'll likely see the grasses and weeds reach the moderate level thanks to the warm up each afternoon and a couple of rounds of dry weather as we go into the next few days. So no records today, but it's going to feel hot, especially this afternoon with the very warm air. Water temperatures have warmed nicely as well into the upper 70s. We're getting to that time of year where even those who say, oh, it's so cold, well, you can actually enjoy the pleasant weather and without much of a risk of rip currents, a low risk there. Again, it's those southern facing beaches, Atlantic City and south, have the moderate risk thanks to that wind coming off of the water from the south. Also same for if you're planning to head out east. So our weather today brings back another chance of rain, better chances of some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon, and then right down to 0 on Sunday. Very pleasant dry weather with less humidity as well toward the end of the weekend. So that reflects nicely with the rain chances. But until then, have a couple of shots of wet weather going into tomorrow, especially for tomorrow afternoon and evening. And then Saturday, likely later on in the day, we start off dry, but see a few passing showers chances later on in the afternoon. And then here's all of that clear sky that comes in for Sunday with the front, allowing for drying, pleasant weather conditions on the way. And it will look fantastic for Sunday into Monday. Temperatures for the next few days, there's your 90 degrees, 3 in a row. Might even make it again on Sunday with that hot weather. And Monday, the potential for staying in the 90s as well. So we could extend this into Monday and Tuesday, even though there's less humidity on the way, more comfortable weather. It's still going to be hot, even at the beaches with slightly cooler weather. But this is your summer forecast, Ken. Just enough to bear, just making it hot enough to make it feel like August.
Oh, there you go. All right. August it is. Yes. Dog Day's coming up. Appreciate it,
Mhm.
sir. Thank you very much. You got to tell us about the origins of Dog Days. I know it has something to do with is it Sirius the Dog Star or something like that?
Sirius, the
Yes.
dog star.
You
Orion's
know how I
dog,
know that?
Sirius. How do
I
you know
paid
that?
attention to you last year when you talked about it
Oh,
last
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yep.
I took notes, Professor. All right. Thank you very much. See that?
You
That's what
bet.
the Dog Day. Thank you, sir. All right, we have 77 degrees, northern New Jersey, 77 in Trenton as well. It's sticky up and down the state. Very high humidity. It's going to be a very hot one. So just if you don't have to be outside today, avoid it because of the weather we're going to have for the next few days, actually. 8:35 is our time. Let's go to 1 and 9, shall we? We have a crash now with injuries. 1 and 9 northbound, north of Route 35, Woodbridge. 2 right lanes closed. You could see they're working on it looks like they got that one vehicle looks like a school bus. We don't have reports of injuries, though, so we don't want to panic parents. Plus, they're not in school, only like special sessions. So who knows? They might have been taking the school bus out for whatever reason, get gas or something. But yeah, there weren't, let's put it this way to calm everyone down, there weren't ambulances there. So there you go. But they have the bus. It looks like it is righted, and they're going to get that out of the way soon. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound 142B by I-78 in Irvington. All lanes are open to traffic there. Pothole repairs, New Jersey Turnpike, and that is, let's see, that is by the outer roadway northbound south of Interchange 10 in Edison. All lanes are open. Stay on the New Jersey Turnpike now. This crash investigation with property damage on the Turnpike outer roadway northbound north of Interchange 7A, pardon me, by 195. That's been there since way before 7 a.m. They're still working on that. And then your Hudson River crossings, we go to the Holland Tunnel. Disastrous mess. It's been 45 to 60 minutes much of the morning. It still is. You can see the heavy traffic off to the right. Those stopped vehicles look like they're parked. They're not. those are waiting to get into the tube, and it's been that way for over an hour. It's going to cost you 45 to 60. The Lincoln Tunnel, much better. It's only about 25 minutes in, 20 to 25 by the Helix. You can see it's flowing for that, like even looks faster than that. It looks about 15 from that point. And then the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach. Heavy but moving. It's going to cost you about 40 to 45 minutes in. Upper level on the right, lower level is on the left. It is 8:37. Next month marks the 25th anniversary already. I can't believe 25 years have gone by of the September 11th terrorist attacks. And for millions of students today, it's a moment they know only through history books and the stories of those who lived through it. To help ensure the lessons of that day are never forgotten, like we said, never forget, over and over again, the 9/11 Memorial and Museum is launching a free digital learning experience designed for classrooms around the world. Joining us now is Megan Jones, Vice President of Education Programs at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. Megan, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I'm sure you feel the same. I was a news anchor and reporter back in the day. I was with CBS back then. I can't believe 25 years have gone by. I remember it like it was yesterday, sitting on the set when the plane went into the tower, the second plane. I remember I was on the air when the second plane went in, and I can't remember that 25 years have gone by. But what's more astonishing is that you will now talk to a generation of students, kids, who this is as much history as the Declaration of Independence for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. We have around 100 million Americans that have no living memory of 9/11. So it's really this generational shift is happening where it's kind of our responsibility now to share those stories to the next generation because they are going to be the stewards of this history.
Well, tell us about the new anniversary digital learning experience. What can students and teachers expect with that?
Sure. So we found at the museum that one of the best ways to bridge this gap between history and memory is through storytelling. So storytelling is really at the heart of all of our educational programs. And with this program specifically, it's offered on the anniversary for free for students really all around the world. And it's comprised of two parts. So the first is a 30-minute film that highlights the stories of first responders, survivors, and family members, and also people who were very young on 9/11, just like students today. And the idea is to connect this next generation with the stories from that day. And then the second part is a live chat, which connects students directly to myself and 15 of my colleagues. We sit in a room on the anniversary and answer student questions live all day. And this is really to support the students in terms of answering their questions and also supporting teachers who are just getting to know their students and are just back in the classroom. And so together, this program, our goal is to reach as many students as possible to ensure that these stories and lessons from 9/11 are never forgotten.
Amazing. And the goal now is to reach 20 million students by the 25th anniversary in September now, in less than a month. Why was it important to create a resource that could be accessed everywhere? I mean, I know it's important, obviously, that people never forget, but it seems that all too often you have nefarious characters teaching nefarious concepts about 9/11. And do you feel sometimes like you're swimming upstream trying to get the message out?
I actually think that, our greatest advocates in this are the teachers themselves. So we find that educators are coming to us asking for the high quality resources because of what you just pointed out, that there is a lot of, there's a lot of great curriculum and resources, and then there's also not great resources. And so I think that's where we come in, where we create, again, resources for all grades and also to fit any schedule. So if an educator only has, the anniversary, the one day to talk about 9/11, or if they can, have an entire unit dedicated to 9/11, our resources are there for them. And it's important that they are accessible, free, and online. Because we can only reach so many students and teachers within the walls of the museum. But the reality is, there are many people who may never be able to come to New York, and we want to ensure that all educators, students, parents, families have access to these high quality resources.
And you have a lot of first person accounts there. That's the amazing thing is a lot of times in history, the first person accounts are gone, right? We have video of them, but there are still people very much alive who lived through that, who were in the towers and got out in the nick of time. And some of their stories are just so powerful. Why is that such an important teaching tool?
Well, again, I think it goes back to connection. As you pointed out, and I too remember exactly where I was on 9/11. And what's interesting is when I work with teachers, I'll ask them, how many of you remember where you were on 9/11? And the entire room used to raise their hands. But now we have several, maybe even a third of rooms now raising their hands that they don't have a memory, because now we have educators teaching the next generation who were also very young on 9/11. So these stories provide a connection point. They allow students to see themselves in the story. And I have to say that when we ask people to participate in this program, there are people who it's very difficult to share their stories, but they do it for this program in particular because they understand the importance of teaching the next generation, and it's very important to them. So they are so giving of their time to come and film these stories, again, to ensure that they are preserved for history.
And Megan, we just quickly flash the website on the bottom of the screen, but please tell everybody verbally, for those who didn't see it, what the website is to see this.
Of course. So all of the information, including a teaser trailer and educational resources for the program, are at 911memorial.org/DLE.
I think you are one of the most important museums and memorials that we have in the United States. You certainly do it beautifully. It is tasteful, respectful, and it is emotional, and something that I think every American needs to experience. So we appreciate what you do and how well you maintain it. Megan Jones, Vice President of Education Programs at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum. We appreciate you coming on, especially right now, this very busy time for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. 78 degrees now, 8:43. When we come back, Tufayan Bakeries is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. They are iconic in the state of New Jersey. We're going to speak with a third generation Tufayan about the family business when we come back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Ken Rosato, 846, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Partly cloudy, very hot today. meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Viking Pest Control. Visit vikingpest.com.
Mike, it's a type of day that even the pests go find someplace cool to hide.
Even they do. That is correct. And even so, with that, we have weather that is likely going to cause some flooding risk by tomorrow afternoon with the thunderstorms that come on through. So even though it's only level 1 of 4 on the flash flooding risk scale, it encompasses not only all of New Jersey, but all of the Northeast, because that very high, very humid weather continues. Today, it's just the northern half of the state that has that risk of flash flooding due to the amount of water that's coming in. So the rainfall outlook for the next 2 days, again, this is a generalization that we could see higher amounts here toward the northwestern corner of the state, but anywhere that has a thunderstorm set up could see a quick round of that wet weather, especially with some downpours. So heading into the rest of August, starting to see some spotted lanternfly activity. Of course, the mosquitoes and ticks, they've always been here. They're spraying like every other day in our backyard just to keep the mosquitoes at bay. Hey, look at what's going on up in Hackensack with almost 200% of rainfall in the last 30 days. Look at that, 256% of rainfall down in Millville. It just goes to show you what the kind of damage this flooding has done, especially there toward the agricultural center of New Jersey, down toward the southwestern corner of the state. So obviously there's no rainfall deficit for the last month, but the drought ongoing has most of northern New Jersey just a little dry. That's it, with the worst part of the drought over for most of New Jersey. This is really good news considering how heading into the rest of summer and fall, which is typically a dry season, tends to bring in a little bit more rainfall to fill the rain buckets before we get to that point. The outlook for the next few weeks into the middle of August has slightly higher than rainfall chances for the state, but a little bit of a cool down on the way by the middle of August. Doesn't mean it'll be chilly, just figure better chances of seeing some low 80s versus mid 80s through the rest of the month, where all of the heat is forced down toward the southeastern corner of the U.S. Next few days, very hot weather. We're straight 90s with the exception of Sunday, might be 89 degrees, but even into early next week, Monday and Tuesday has chances of getting up to 90 again, and we're sunnier and drier and slightly less humid, a little bit cooler into the end of next week, so much more pleasant weather on the way after we wrap up this very hot and humid period, Ken.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. So we're going to ask you to stick around and come back right after traffic, if you don't mind. I want to pick your brain about the dog days a little bit and about heat waves in general and how we fare versus other summers, if you don't mind.
You got it.
All right, we'll do a quick check of traffic. Thank you, sir. 78 degrees now in northern New Jersey. It is 77 degrees in Trenton, 75 degrees now, Cape May, and 79 degrees in Vineland. Who will be the first to break 80? I bet you it's going to be Newark. Newark is always a couple of degrees hotter because of the way they sit. It's like a little valley in parts of Newark. So I bet you Newark will hit 80 within the hour. My gut is telling me, if they haven't already. 8:49 right now. And in terms of traffic, we have the following. We have, again, over by the Turnpike, we have a crash investigation, property damage on the Turnpike, outer roadway northbound, north of interchange 7A, 195 Robbinsville. You could see that right lane and right shoulder still blocked. They've been working on that all morning. Is it causing massive delays in traffic? No. But is it causing a little bit of a slowdown? Yes. So we just tell you so you can keep an eye out for it. Staying on the Turnpike right now, we have roving pothole repairs on the outer roadway northbound, north of interchange 10, Route 440 and Edison. All lanes are open through there. Crash on the Garden State southbound exit 142B by I-78 West in Irvington. All lanes open to traffic. Your Hudson River crossings, the Holland Tunnel now on 139, still bumper to bumper. Look at those cars on the right making your way into the city. That's going to cost you a solid chunk of time there, about 45 to 50 minutes. The Lincoln Tunnel, much better, only about 15 to 20 minutes in by 495, the Helix there. That's actually moving very well. It's moved very well all morning. Oh, they showed us. This is a really wide shot that they gave us. I guess it's really no issue. So they gave us that shot. And then the GWB upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach now up to 45 minutes solid. It's starting to really build a little bit as people were trying to avoid, I think, the Holland Tunnel. They headed north, and this is what they encountered now. An hour ago, there was nothing. Now it's going to cost you 45 to 60 in. 8:51 is our time. Let's go back to meteorologist Mike Favetta now in our last 6-7 minutes. Mike, we're talking about the dog days of summer. So let's first go back to that. So Sirius the Dog Star, Sirius, from whence we named this the satellite company. Sirius the Dog Star. It only appears, I guess it appears in a certain point in the sky at this time of year. And this happens to be a very hot time of the year. So they call it the dog days of summer because of Sirius being at a certain point in the sky, right?
Exactly. It's visible in the northern hemisphere. Remember, southern hemisphere has a completely different view of the sky. So, because it's also not summer in the southern hemisphere when it would be summer in the northern. So, toward the end of July and the beginning of August, which climatologically is the hottest part of summer, we're about 30 to 45 days after the summer solstice. So, the sun is really doing a good job of keeping things warm in the northern hemisphere. And that is also coincidentally when the dog star, Sirius, Orion's dog, is visible in the sky.
I wonder if Sirius opened the door today, took 2 steps out, felt the humidity and the heat, and turned around and said, I'm not going out there.
I'm sure Sirius is just like Rocco and did the exact same thing. Even during the break, had to run him out because he was, kind of be doing the impatient little pee-pee dance on his paws. So I take him out and he still is like, no, it's gross. I'd rather hold it. Okay, so you be uncomfortable, you stubborn little thing.
Rocco is a very stubborn boy. But he's a good boy. He's a good boy. He stays, people don't realize he's right by your feet the whole time during the broadcast.
The
I love
whole
that.
morning, yeah.
He's a very loyal boy.
That's what the
All right.
grunts
So
and the sniffs are, just trying to the weather again.
I thought it
I'm
was
trying
because
to
of the
slap.
burritos you had last night. But that's
No, trying to nap,
that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
What a good boy. So in terms of heat waves and hot summers, is this one of the hotter ones in recent years that we've had?
I think that next year might come in as warm one. Now, think of it this way: summer's not over yet. And so, what we've seen thus far, yes, there have been some hot days, there have been some pretty prolonged heat waves, but with all the indications pointing toward an El Nino in the works, and not just any El Nino, but a super El Nino, that may in fact bring back some really supercharged heat for the fall. So we'll see kind of those really warm, unusually hot stretches of heat into the fall, specifically September and October, where you have the air conditioning running right into Thanksgiving time frame. That is more likely. So while the season of summer, statistically, June, July, and August may not be necessarily the hottest we've seen, I have a feeling this year, because of that delayed El Nino effect and how El Nino is not really starting until the fall, we're going to see an extension of summer through the fall months, meaning September, October, November.
And what does that mean in terms of hurricanes?
So El Nino is interesting because it always puts a lid on hurricane season. The trade winds completely shift, and so that draws away the energy from the equatorial Atlantic and the Atlantic basin where the hurricanes typically form. That's why I've only had one named storm this year in the Atlantic, and typically we have many more. By then, you think going back, many years, by the time we get to August, we're into the alphabet a little more, but there hasn't been any hurricane formation, partly because of the Saharan dust, which is unrelated to El Nino, but there's quite a bit of evidence that shows that it's going to be a very quiet hurricane season. And that's something that the New Jersey State climatologist told us about a month ago. And here we are, still no named storms beyond the first letter in the last 30 days.
So did the Saharan dust, seriously act sort of like a big mop to kind of absorb moisture in the air? Is that kind of what it did?
Yeah, think of it like sawdust over, a puddle. It just absorbs all of that moisture, absorbs all of the heat energy that's required for the storms to form, because as the storms tower into the atmosphere, they have to cool with height. There's a lot of atmospheric processes that occur in order for hurricanes to develop. And if you can't trigger that initial mechanism, you don't get a hurricane. And so without that initial trigger, it's just been very quiet and very tranquil due to the dust taking all of that solar energy and reflecting it back out into space.
And while it sounds like a very good thing not to have a hurricane, because obviously we don't want property damage or loss of life, At the same time, hurricanes have real benefits, right? They bring water to a lot of places that don't get it and supply necessary water to a lot of places inland and whatnot as they work their way in. If they hit the coast, then they tend to work their way in. Isn't that sort of important? There's a reason for everything on this planet.
There is, I think there is, yes, obviously a lot of the tropical islands, they have their big cisterns and they use their rainwater and that's their drinking water and their potable water through the season. However, there are other industries that are really benefiting from this. Think of the salt industry, your pool salt, the rock salt that goes on the roads. That is farmed, if you will, in the salt beds down in the Bahamas. And every time a big tropical system comes through, the whole system resets because now you can't, use that evaporative solar salt and truck it up to it actually goes to somewhere on the East Coast. It used to be New Jersey, Perth Amboy, but they moved. But basically, I worked on it with my dad. That's how I know. But a lot of these areas are subject to tropical systems that would dilute the salt, and then the process would need to start over. So the salt industry is doing really well with this dry weather.
Absolutely fascinating. Always learn fascinating stuff from you, Mike. We appreciate you. Thank you, sir.
Time's
Enjoy
up.
your
I could
weekend.
go on for hours. This is lecture time.
We got time. Let's talk to Gerald. We'll add another hour to the show. It's a good thing. Hey, Mike, enjoy your day, sir. And that is On New Jersey Mornings for your Thursday, August 6th, 2026. Have a wonderful day.